As we head toward market close on Tuesday, November 18th, AMD is trading around $232 and change, down more than 3% on the day. The stock has dropped over $8 in a single session, and while that move might look dramatic at first glance, the decline is not coming from any specific failure inside AMD. Instead, it reflects the tone of the broader market, where AI-related companies and semiconductor names have been under pressure throughout the day. It is one of those sessions where sentiment takes over and even strong companies get caught in the selling. The entire AI and high-growth technology sector has been struggling today. When that happens, traders often rotate out of riskier names, especially those that have run hard throughout the year. AMD fits that category perfectly. The company has been a major beneficiary of the AI enthusiasm that has driven so much capital into chips and cloud infrastructure plays. But when the market takes a risk-off tone, names like AMD tend to feel it more sharply, not because the story has changed, but because their valuations sit on the higher end of the spectrum. Even though AMD has delivered strong financial results recently, the market has reached a point where it expects not just strength, but constant acceleration. AMD posted $9.2 billion in revenue in its most recent quarter, growing 36% year-over-year. Its data center revenue rose more than 20%. Its AI partnerships, including work with OpenAI and large cloud providers, continue to expand. These are not weak numbers. They are the sort of numbers that would drive a stock sharply higher in a calmer environment. But today, investors are looking for something even bigger. They want evidence that AMD's AI ramp is moving faster than expected, and when that proof does not arrive instantly, the stock becomes vulnerable. That is the nature of high expectation stocks. The higher the bar, the easier it is to disappoint in the short term. And today's decline reflects that dynamic. The market wants to see AMD's AI accelerators ramping quickly. It wants to see data center revenue re-accelerating. It wants to see the company grabbing larger slices of a market dominated by Nvidia. Those things may be coming, but they take time, and right now, patience is in short supply across the entire sector. Still, it is important to understand that nothing about AMD's long-term story has weakened. If anything, the story is stronger. AMD is moving deeper into the AI infrastructure landscape, winning more enterprise customers, and laying out one of the most ambitious roadmaps in the chip industry. The company is transitioning from the early promise phase of AI growth into the harder but more rewarding proof phase. That transition often brings volatility, because investors start demanding results quarter by quarter instead of simply listening to the roadmap. What makes today especially intriguing is the gap between the stock price and the underlying business. AMD is trading lower, yet its long-term prospects continue to expand. That disconnect creates tension, and tension creates potential. When a company's fundamentals and its stock price temporarily diverge, the reconnect ion can be powerful. It can happen to the downside, but it can equally happen to the upside. The key is watching how sentiment shifts in the days that follow. As AMD drifts toward the low 230s, the stock is approaching a region where long-term investors often begin to accumulate. Pullbacks like this, especially when they are driven by broad market fear rather than company-specific weakness, tend to attract strategic buyers who are looking for opportunities rather than reacting to emotion. If the stock stabilizes here, and if the broader market finds its footing, AMD could rebound quickly. The pressure on the sector today also plays a major psychological role. When big, AI-exposed companies all fall together, traders start questioning whether the AI boom has run too far. They wonder if growth expectations need to be reset. They wonder whether valuations need to cool off before the next leg upward. These questions create uncertainty, and uncertainty creates selling. But it is worth remembering that markets often swing too far in both directions. The same sentiment that pushes stocks up quickly can push them down quickly, even when the underlying story remains intact. Looking ahead, the most important thing for AMD is not what happened today, but what the next few weeks reveal. Investors will be watching closely for signs that the company's AI business is scaling. They will want updates on shipments of new accelerators, enterprise adoption, and data center partnership momentum. Any signal that confirms AMD is gaining traction in AI could shift sentiment back in its favor. And when sentiment turns, it can turn fast. That is why today's decline is more interesting than it is alarming. It sets the stage for a narrative that is building beneath the surface. AMD is entering a period where it must show the market real, measurable progress in AI hardware. And when a company with AMD's track record begins navigating that phase, the outcome can be dramatic. Sometimes the stock breaks down further. Sometimes it builds a base and then takes off. Today's move does not decide the direction. It simply creates the setup. The real story is the pressure forming between what the market wants now and what the company is preparing to deliver later. Investors want immediate confirmation. The company is on a timeline measured in quarters and years. That mismatch is what creates volatility, but it is also what creates opportunity. Once the timelines begin to align, the disconnect between price and fundamentals can correct quickly. As the final hour of trading approaches, the question becomes simple. Is AMD's weakness today a warning sign or an entry point? The long-term fundamentals suggest opportunity. The short-term sentiment suggests caution. Whenever those two forces collide, the next move tends to be meaningful. The divergence between price and story cannot last forever. Eventually, they reconnect. And the direction of that reconnect ion is what every investor will be watching as the week continues. AMD has not broken its long-term trend. It has not weakened its position in AI. It has not backtracked on its roadmap. What has changed today is sentiment, and sentiment is always the most temporary part of any stock's journey. The bigger picture is unchanged. The company is still pushing forward, still expanding, still targeting a much larger share of a rapidly growing market. The stock's pullback says more about the mood of the moment than it does about the trajectory of the business. That is why today's move is so compelling. It forces investors to confront the gap between emotion and reality. It forces them to decide whether they believe in the long-term story or whether they fear the short-term noise. It forces them to choose between reacting to the red numbers on the screen or paying attention to the direction of the company itself. As the session winds down, AMD sits at an inflection point. It is experiencing the type of decline that often precedes a major shift in sentiment, either up or down. And that is what makes this moment worth paying attention to. The stock is weak today, but the story is not. The pressure is building. And when that pressure releases, it will reveal whether today was a warning or a window.